Hi, I'm LaMarr Benton, and I am a former employee of Packard Electric in Warren, Ohio. And we are here today looking at the Packard Museum of Cars and History. And this is simply really amazing to see the craftsmanship and the beauty. And now I understand why the Packard name was so famous. I worked in the E&R building, or engineering building, for quite a while, and then also public relations, and just uh, was aware of the engineering that went into these cars. And of course, Packard Electric at the time was making the wiring harnesses and electrical components for not only Packards but for other automobile dealerships also, or automobile companies also. So it's an amazing display of craftsmanship and beauty and engineering, and just to me, just a love of design during that period, and just it would be worth your while to come and see this and enjoy the same things that we are enjoying while on this trip. And the history, from what I understand, is usually some kind of Packard Electric or Packard car celebration every year. They used to do it every year. I don't know if it's still going, but sometime in the summer, Packard owners from all over the world come to this facility and show their cars that they've collected over the years, and it's just a beautiful thing to know that right here in Warren, Ohio, is the history of this beautiful car, Packard, and just amazing.
Talk about what you did.
I was a draftsman at Packard Electric, and I worked on drawings for the harnesses and components of wiring at the time, and eventually computerization came in, and you had computer-aided design, and what had happened, it eliminated quite a few draftsmen the old manual way, and it was like the comparison between old school and new school came in, and but these cars were basically manufactured under the old school process, and even then you can see the beauty of design, the lines, and oh my goodness, this is just a wonderful thing.
So the wiring, where did the wiring go?
The wiring was all through the car. It controlled a lot of components in the car that made the car function,
Such as?
such as spark plug wires, ignition wires, um, all wires for air conditioning, wires that dealt with heating, and all through the engine compartment, and the various accessories that the car could possess, lights, indoor lights, so speedometer readings. There's just a number of things. Just about every functional part of the car had wiring involved. This is a beautiful convertible. Wow, look at the paint job on this car. It's just really amazing. It's amazing to see the time and the expertise that they use to produce these cars. Quite amazing.
So you worked in the wiring department?
I worked in the drafting room, which was called the E&R building.
So you started off in wiring?
I started off in the drafting area that actually drew drawings of wiring and other components that actually ended up on the production line. We draftsmen took their lead from the engineering department, and the engineers would actually sketch up the various harnesses and the components that would go into cars. And so, but we had, as draftsmen, we had to do the technical part of it to make the drawing and things fit to scale and everything, so they could be actually manufactured out on the production floor. And so a lot of our drawings went to the steel trades, tool and die, and cutting areas. There was an area that actually did insulation, coated insulation, and on the wire itself, and all those wires had to be a specific length, terminals that had to be created and built to make the connections. All those things were necessary.
So I take it there wasn't much room for error in what you did.
No, we had what was nice, especially in the drafting room, you had what's known as checkers. And the checkers would always check all of the drawings before they went out to be photographed and then put on microfilm. The microfilm was for a collection, so that if they needed to duplicate something, they'd have the microfilm without a problem. But there was always, none of those drawings went out, to my understanding, incorrect. And anything that may have slipped through the system, it was easily corrected, and either if it had to be redrawn or just some minor changes, those things were done without a problem. But nowadays, everything is converted basically to the digital type production and computer-aided design, computer-aided drafting, robotics, and so you have a lot more accuracy. And in some ways it eliminated jobs, but in other ways it created more jobs. So I guess it's an even trade. But I'm just marveling at the craftsmanship of the former generations of cars that came before the computerization and a lot of the processes that we're using today. Back then, there weren't robots to put things together, and this was all done on an assembly line, but humans dominated the handling of the components and the handling of the construction of the cars. So this is a testament to just how skillful and how imaginative human beings can be. This has been a wonderful experience in the Packard Museum. I would advise anyone who wants to see some beautiful cars, some beautiful history. In fact, the history of, big part of the history of Warren, Ohio, which is right here. And certainly you should take advantage of it whenever you can. Not that expensive, and you can just spend a lot of time just marveling at the creations. Beautiful, just absolutely beautiful, unbelievable. Some of these cars, of course, are famous because they were used by some of the wealthiest mobsters, I guess you could say, and some of their claim to fame is based on that. But aside from that, is, like I said, these things are all masterpieces, and to be able to own one of these or to have driven one of these had to be just a fantastic experience. Wow, just amazing. So I can't say enough about the skills that were used to produce these things, because these cars were produced before computerization, and the mock-ups were made from wood and clay, and you had modelers that would actually form the whole structure of the car, and the result was just amazing to me.
Did you ever work on the line?
Shortly, I did for a while. I did some transitioning from Packard to my own business, and I got involved in the sign industry, so I left the Packard Electric and started my own business. But I just still marvel at what went into the processing of these vehicles. It's just really amazing to me.
So when you worked on the line, what did you do?
Most of the lines were designed to create harnesses and wire harnesses. And wire harnesses connect to a lot of the various components in a automobile. And it's kind of like a tree. You can compare it to like a tree trunk, and each tree has branches, and all these branches represent certain connections to components in the car, which makes the car function. So it's not too complicated to understand, but there was a lot of engineering and work that went into producing not only the car, but the harnesses that actually help control the car.
So why are we seeing motorcycles next to the cars? Did you all also make parts, or?
I don't really know. I only was familiar with the harnesses for automobiles. I don't know whether there was a division somewhere else that made harnesses, electrical harnesses for automobiles. But
What do you mean for motorcycles?
For motorcycles, but they may have done that.
So where did Delphi come into play?
That's a good question. I think that was a different division, different company, and they joined forces. I could be wrong, but I think that's what happened.
So you said you worked for a short period of time. I always mix this up. Wire harnesses or harnessing wires?
Wire harnesses.
And what did wire harnesses do?
Wire harnesses, as I said before, they controlled and fed power to the electrical components that were in the car. Your lights, your headlights, anything that required electricity had to have a base, a starting point, and the harness itself was composed of a number of leads that would be connected to the various components, as I said, like headlights, speedometers, heater, air conditioning, your dome lights. Anything that required electricity had to have some form of wiring led to it from the harness, wire harness.
I don't know why, but I think I favor the yellow cars best.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's like butter.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I think butter is better driven than in your arteries. How about that?
Yeah, that is really fantastic.
It's a beautiful car.
Yes.
What is this? Do you know?
Well, the sign will tell you. This is a 1936 120B Packard Convertible coupe.
Honey, would you buy me one of these?
Sure. I had about $1 million. And it says 2-4 passenger body number 999.
Oh, check out the side view mirrors.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
Well, I think this was a really nice date.
Yes, it was.
And I don't know if I'm going to get us in the view, but that's it for our date day. Oops, got my hand in front of the camera.
Where?
Try it this way.
Where's the?
That's it for our date day at the Packard Museum. Say bye.
Bye-bye.
And there we are. How about that?